Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today, where we're going to be talking about Languagenut and the new GCSE resources that we have available on the platform. My name's Fiona. I'm head of content and product development at Languagenut, so I sort of manage everything that goes on the platform and have played a large part in sort of developing the resources that we have for our new GCSE. Today is all about you getting to know the kind of resources that we have on the platform that cater to the new GCSE. So if I just move over to our platform now, I know that we'll have a couple of people here today who maybe already have subscribed to Languagenut, so you already are a little bit familiar with the platform, but we may also have some people here who have yet to sign up for a subscription. So do forgive me if you're familiar with the platform. I will probably go over a couple of things that you've seen before, but if not, and you fancied some more detail about what we've got, then as I said, do get in touch on that inquiries at address after the webinar. So of course we're going to be diving into secondary today. Should just point out as well to those of you who haven't got a subscription, we do also have resources for primary. We have an open resource bank and a guided course. We have A-level and IB resources. We have an EAL product. We also have a gaming grammar, an IGCSE, and also an Arabic product as well. So again, if what you're seeing today doesn't sort of tick any of those boxes and you'd like to know more about them, then do get in touch. But as I said, I'm going to focus on the new GCSE for French, Spanish and German today. I'll be demoing the sort of resources that we have for French, as that's my specialism, but anything that you see in the French will also be mirrored across Spanish and German. So if I just go into our French project now. So this is what you as a teacher will see when you log into the Languagenut platform. We also have an admin area, which is where you can set up all of your tracking. But as I'm going to focus majority on resources today, I won't be going into there in too much detail. As I mentioned, if you'd like to know more about those areas, do get in touch for a longer demo. So as you can see down the left hand side here, these are our sort of resource areas that we have available on the platform. We've got 5 key resource areas. We've got our vocab trainer, exam skills, sentences and chunks, phonics, grammar and verbs. And a lot of these have seen quite a lot of development recently, largely because of the changes to the curriculum, but also just because we want to continuously update and make sure we're giving you the best experience possible. Quickly, before I go into some of the resources that we have and what we've done with them for the new GCSE, I'll also just quickly draw your attention, for those of you who haven't seen the platform before, when students complete activities in the platform, they get points. Those then feed into a world leaderboard, either as an individual or as a school, and we run competitions throughout the year worldwide, in which students can sort of win prizes, usually in the form of Amazon vouchers, and you can also with a subscription set up competitions within your school or MAT. So yeah, do check one of those competitions out the next time you get a chance. And we've also recently added a new printables area, which is where I'll be showing you shortly a lot of our activities that we have in our, particularly in our vocabulary trainer and exam skills section, now also have printables linked to them. So again, sort of just a real sort of plug for those students who don't necessarily have the devices at home. If you want to set homeworks for things like exam skills or vocab, then we have printable versions of those. And also if you want to do some of these activities in class and don't always have access to devices within lessons, and this is a really nice way of you being able to use some of our resources in lessons as well. So I'll show you a few more of those in a moment, but I'll kick off and show you what we've done for the new GCSE in our vocab trainer. So this is where students can practice vocabulary. For those of you who haven't seen the platform before, we have our sort of Languagenut pre-populated vocabulary trainer, and our AI chat, which also sits in any of our other vocab areas. We also have our legacy exam board content. We have NSELP content on the platform, and you can see down here we've got this My Content section. So if you do have sort of specific vocabulary lists that you're following as a school, you can upload those as custom content, and those will then integrate with the games that we have on our platform. So yeah, as I said, we know that schools often do potentially follow something like a textbook, or they follow their own sort of department scheme of work. This is somewhere where you can upload that, and so you can assign students their homework for vocab through the platform week on week. So today I'm going to show you our new GCSE exam board vocab. So this is where we've uploaded our new sets for AQA and Edexcel. So if I go into AQA to begin with, and this would be the same in Edexcel, you can see once you've clicked on your exam board, you have 2 options. We have the exam board lists and topic-based exam board lists. Now, the reason that we've got two separate lists here is because when the sort of specifications were first announced and those vocabulary lists were shared to begin with, we did everything that we could to get those on the platform really, really quickly. So our exam board list section is essentially a direct copy and lift from the sort of interactive tools that were provided by AQA and Edexcel, so that you may well have seen the Excel spreadsheets that were provided by the exam boards. So essentially with these exam board lists, we've just taken those straight from those for foundation and higher, taken the different topics and the multi-word phrase sections, and we have split them up into sort of education and work adjectives, B, and these are just exactly as they were presented within those interactive tools. So as you can see, there is some differentiation between topic that is sort of broken down into sort of word class. So we can see we're now moving into healthy living and lifestyle. And then also in this topic, we also then move into identity and relationships. So as I said, this is if you wanted to sort of follow exactly what the exam board provided. As I said, with these lists that they provided, you get quite a lot of repetition because the words aren't necessary, because obviously the idea is that students will learn a word and see it across lots of different topics. So there will be a lot more repetition in these sets. Which is why part of what we wanted to do when we also introduced our own topic-based exam board lists was to make things a little bit more intuitive for teacher. Obviously, it's great the exam boards have provided us with vocab broken up into topics, but we wanted to break this down even further and provide you with some slightly more nuanced sort of subtopics, which may be presented in a way that might be more intuitive in terms of the way that you present that vocabulary. So you can see this is our AQA Higher. We've got our three main topics, and we've also got a section for basics and general. So in basics and general, that's where we've sort of split up. So rather than having just a really long list of general vocab, we've split them up into things like greeting, days of the week, months of the year, time phrases, etc. And then when it comes to our actual sort of different topic-based vocabulary, we've basically drilled into these topics and brought them out into slightly more identifiable chunks. So we've got family members A, B, physical descriptions, describing family members, and so on. And this is the same if we looked at this for Edexcel. We've done the same thing. We've just broken it down to make it a bit more intuitive for teachers when sort of presenting these in chunks to students. We don't necessarily want to set the same word over and over and over again to students who definitely know it. So these remove some of that repetition, make it a bit more bite-sized. If you're interested in having a little bit more of a look at this vocabulary, I'll just quickly come out of the platform and remind you we've also got a blog section in Languagenut where we do share sort of free resources for everyone. We wanted to make sure that all teachers, not necessarily just Languagenut users, had access to this work that we've done. So this is where, if you wanted to, you can, these adapted vocab lists that we've produced in the topic-based section, you can download the Excel files by coming to this blog post about free downloadable resources for French, Spanish and German. And as I said, you can download the original Excel files for those to have a closer look at in your own time as well. So I'm just going to go into one of our topics, and again, as I said, for those of you who aren't familiar with the platform, I'll just quickly show you this is what you would see as either a teacher or a student when you logged into the vocab activity and you went through to the learn, practice and quiz phase. We also have our AI chat here, which is where students will take the words that they've learned in this set and they'll be asked to produce them at a sentence level. So quickly just show you some of the things that you can do in this area, either sort of when you're at home or as a front of class activity. So you can see students can play the target language,
la matière,
which they can then also slow down by 30% if they want to with the snail icon. If you wanted to sort of present a set of vocabulary at the front of the class, part of a lesson, you can make this bigger, and you can also make the text bigger by clicking the plus button. You can also turn these into translation activities by either getting rid of the target language, and you can also get rid of the English support language. And if you wanted to, as a student, maybe getting to grips with this, you can play these as a slideshow, which will come up as bigger flashcards.
la matière,
So you can see here, and those will flash through. I stop that there. I'll quickly show you then, we've also got our practice activities, and all of these are automatically marked, and you can assign them either sort of from the actual vocabulary set, or you can assign them from the admin area. As many of you will know who have already used the platform, we've got various activities in our practice section for reading, listening, writing, and then also speaking. And the speaking uses voice recognition technology to sort of work on students' pronunciation as well. So students can go through the practice phase where they're given multiple chances to get the answer right or wrong. And then once they're happy with the practice phase, they can go on to the quiz, which is where they can only get they only get one chance. When it comes to printables, I mentioned before we've recently really expanded the printables that we have on offer at this level. So when you go into printables for a set of vocabulary, you can choose from that set which of the vocabulary you want to cover. And then you've got various options down here. You've got a one pen, one die game. You can produce a vocabulary list, which will give you the option of both of the target language and the English side by side, and then also a page that has just the English and a page that has just the French. So nice if you want to do a vocab test in class. This is where you can come and print that out. And then we also have a multiple choice printable and a matching pairs printable. So if I select all here and hit download, you'll be given a moment for it to be downloaded, which will then appear here. And I'll then be able to open up that multiple choice activity for this vocab where you have the target language here and you have to select which of the answers is the correct translation. So lots of different vocabulary sort of lists that you can print off, as I said, either for a vocab test in class, if you wanted to do that sort of off the platform, or if you wanted anything to stick in books. You've also got the sort of multiple choice matching pairs and one pen, one die activity. So that's our vocab trainer, and hopefully that's given you a good idea of what we've got on offer in terms of the new GCSE vocab. As I said, you've either got the exam board lists straight as they are on the interactive tool, or you have our slightly more sort of topic-based lists, where we've done quite a lot of work for you in terms of taking that vocab out and taking out some of the repetition. As I mentioned at the beginning, if you want to take a look at this more closely and get your students set up so they can have a look too, then do drop an email to inquiries@languagenut.com. And then I'll move on now to our exam skills section. So if I just go into exam skills, we do have our legacy content here, which is the content that was here previously on the platform, and we also have the opportunity for you to upload custom content for writing and speaking. We know that some schools have, when it comes to things like speaking questions, for particular conversation questions that they want students to have practice with and to learn. So we do have the opportunity for you to upload those as custom content, which then obviously then integrate with the platform as well. But as you can see here, what we've done for the new GCSE is, rather than with our legacy resources where we had some sort of generic topics that sort of fit for both exam boards, what we've chosen to do with Edexcel and AQA is sort of take that one step further, particularly with the vocabulary lists that were provided by the exam boards, and make sure that the content that we have in here for reading, listening, writing and speaking is very much aligned to those exam boards. So as you can see, I'll show you Edexcel, and one of the reasons I'll show you Edexcel is because happily we received endorsement for both our Key Stage 3 and 4 resources from Pearson Edexcel. So we have endorsement from them for our vocabulary and our exam skills, which was obviously really exciting. Our AQA also mirror those kind of resources. We've been told by AQA for now that they're not giving any endorsements to online products, so we'll move from there, but as I said, the quality of them is very much the same, and they cover a lot of the similar topics, as I'm sure you'll be aware as well. So if I show you with Edexcel, what we've done with both Key Stage 3 and 4 is we've split our topics across the 6 thematic contexts, and we've done the same with AQA for the sort of 3 main topics and then the 3 subtopics per larger topic. And as you can see, we've got lifestyle and well-being, media and technology, my neighbourhood, my personal world, studying my future, travel and tourism for Edexcel. So within each topic, overarching context, we've then also got 3 or 4 Languagenut topics that you can choose from. So if I go into holidays, you'll then be able to see that we've obviously got our reading, listening, writing and speaking activities available. And then for each skill, we then have 3 levels of challenge. Now at Key Stage 4, what we've decided to do is our easy level at Key Stage 4. The content there will be very, very similar to a foundation tier question. Therefore, we'll use words when it comes to reading and listening. The words will reflect words from the foundation tier vocabulary list, whereas medium and hard will contain sort of a mixture of those. We also have 3 difficulty levels at Key Stage 3, which is obviously also more pitched at a kind of foundation level as well. In terms of our activities, we've changed our activities slightly compared to our legacy resources. So for reading, we've removed true or false and we've added our open reading comprehension activity, which is teacher marked, but students still do receive instant feedback, which I'll show you in a moment. So as you can see, for those of you who haven't seen one of our sort of reading activities before, you have your base text over here on the left-hand side, and you can change the background colour of that if you have students who have dyslexia or visual stress. And you can also, if you wanted to display this in class, you can also make the text much bigger and smaller as well. So in this case, we've got two people talking about their disastrous holidays. If I just quickly skip through, the students would need to then type their answer. Again, we've made sure that this time round the questions are in English to reflect the new spec. So if I go through these questions here, as a student, although this is the teacher marked activity and you would have to mark it from the admin area, you will see that once students have submitted all of their answers, they are then produced and they are then provided with suggested answers. So they do still get that sort of instant feedback. They just won't necessarily have the correct answer written there. That will be coming from you. So if I move out of our reading, and I'll show you some of our new listening activities. So in listening, again, we've got easy, medium and hard. And then we have a sort of 4 activities now, where previously we had 3. Again, we've removed true or false and we've replaced it with open listening comprehension, which I'll just show you now. So when students have a listening activity, again, for those of you who haven't seen the platform before, they'll be presented with the audio over here on the left and a set of questions. If I play the audio quickly, you'll get a feel for it.
Normalement, je passe mes vacances d'hiver en France.
So that is our audio. As you can see, we've got 3 speakers and therefore we've got 3 timestamps. Students can move the audio backwards and forwards between those timestamps, and we've also got the snail function, which, as I mentioned before in the vocab trainer, allows you to slow that activity down by 30%. You can see over here as well for our listening activities, if you click on this button here, you get taken to the transcript for all of the activities within that level. So we've got our multiple choice transcript at the top, which isn't the one we want for this. This is our level 1 open listening. So this is our transcript here for this particular activity. And then we also have the transcript for our dictation. So all 3 in one, you can download those. And as I said, if you have students who potentially need more support, they can have that in front of them during the lesson. Or you could download these and use them and manipulate them further for a sort of, activity in class if you wanted to do a translation, for example, or a read aloud. So once again, with our opening listening question, students will type their answers. And then at the end, they'll hit submit and they'll get the suggested answers for that activity. With our automatic marked answers, they would get the answers straight away off the back of that as well. Our other new game, as it obviously is a skill that's come back into this new GCSE, is dictation. So while we have dictation currently in our grammar area, and we also have dictation in our whole sentences area, we've also added it into our exam skills. So if I just quickly show you what that looks like for students. When they come into a dictation activity, you'll see that we have, again, the audio here. And what we've done is we've built in the repetition to the audio. So we don't need timestamps for this. Students will play, they'll hear number 1 and the text that they need to write down, and then they will hear that repeated twice more. So I'll show you this now.
1.
Le sud de la France est parfait pour les vacances en famille. Le sud de la France est parfait.
So you can see they get that repetition built in, so they really can just listen and then type their answer into the box as they go. This, once again, is teacher marked, as there's quite a lot of nuance on the mark scheme, so we want teachers to be able to really see what students are doing and how they are responding to those sounds. And so once students are happy with their answers, they would hit submit, and that will then go to you to mark in your admin area. And just to show you quickly as well, if I dip into one of our other listening activities, and this is one of our auto-marked ones, our multiple choice game. What you'll have seen on some of our other activities as well is we've got this new printables that are available for quite a lot of our exam skill activities. So as well as the transcript for this activity, students can hit play, or if you wanted to do this, as an actual front of class activity, you could download the printable for it, which would then provide students with the questions and the options that they have. So as I said, if you wanted to print this out for students and do this as a front of class activity, you can then have control over the audio, and the students can be completing those activities as an in-class activity. Obviously, we're a tech platform. We want students to be able to complete things within the platform, but we do also recognise the fact that we've got a wealth of resources in here that may well be useful in class, and we may not have devices in class. And so having that access to those printables should help you provide many more resources and experiences for your students. Okie dokie, so those are our reading and listening activities. I'll quickly draw your attention to our writing, and what we've done with our writing is we've sort of made the questions reflect the SAMs a lot more. So our easy question is a sort of foundation tier question, the sort of 40 to 50 word task. Our medium will be that sort of overlap higher foundation 90 word style task, and the hard is the higher tier task that you would see. And we've written these so that they reflect the kind of questions that students are going to be seeing in their exams. We wanted to make them a bit more. Obviously, at the moment, there's not a huge amount of sort of past paper material. So if you want to hold back those past papers and the SAMs that have been provided by the exam board for your mocks, then this is a really nice way of you coming and finding sort of similar kind of style questions that you can use as homeworks or as sort of less sort of high intensity mock exams throughout the academic year. So as you can see, with this writing task, you've got your scenario and the points that the students must include. And as it's a medium, we've got this 80 to 90 word task. And as I said, where possible, we've made sure that the vocabulary we use in the prompts and in the directions match those in the SAMs. For those of you who haven't done or set a writing activity on Languagenut before, what is nice to know is that these are entirely sort of copy and paste disabled, and students have all of the accents that they need to use for the language that they're in at the bottom here. Again, if you're sort of a little bit worried about things like ChatGPT, I know at the moment lots of schools have sort of refraining from sort of setting large writing tasks at home for that fear. Even if we do have copy and paste sort of removed, we do have the printable versions of this as well. So again, if you wanted to just give this as a task in class where students write on paper, then you can also access that printable of this question as well. So moving out of writing, our last exam skill is the speaking area, and here we've also added, made a couple of changes to our game. So in our photo description, we've added an additional photo. Obviously in our legacy resources, we just had the one, whereas now we have 2 photos for students to describe, and we've upped the amount of time that students have to prepare. So students will have 4 minutes to have a look at these photos, have a think about what they'd like to say. Obviously they can hit start now if they're ready to go, and as it's a teacher marked activity, they will hit start now, record their answer, and that will then go to you for marking as an audio file in your admin area. And then finally, our newest game alongside dictation and our listening and reading comprehensions is our read aloud game. Obviously read aloud, another thing that's come back into this new GCSE as one of the things that students will be tested on. So we've made sure that we've reflected that in our resources. Again, teacher marked, because you'll want to really get to grips with how students are pronouncing each word, and because the exam skills and the mark schemes are quite nuanced and holistic. So as you can see, students will see the different sentences that they need to read aloud in front here. They'll be given 5 minutes to prepare and to practice, and then they'll hit start now, and then they will then record themselves saying this out loud. Of course, this is something as well that you could do in class, getting students to sort of take it in turns or work in pairs to work on that pronunciation. But again, we find with these speaking activities in our exam skills section, it can be a really great opportunity for learners who are potentially a little bit more nervous about speaking in class and practicing their pronunciation in class. It's a really great opportunity for them to be assigned something that they can go away, practice at home, and know that it's only going to be you, the teacher, listening to them when it gets marked. So those are our sort of new GCSE exam skill questions. Again, obviously, if you'd like to get a little bit more to grips with these and to see what we have on offer, do get in touch on inquiries@languagenut.com. And the last bit that I'll just quickly walk you through, I won't show you sort of everything in detail. What we've made sure that we've done with our phonics section, so this is another one of our areas that obviously phonics is a real big focus on this new GCSE, particularly with things like read aloud and dictation. So what we've made sure with our phonics areas for French, German and Spanish is that we've added in some additional sound pairs of sort of common common phonics and areas of the language that students quite often mispronounce. So we've made sure that we have those in the products, and those will then sort of integrate across all of the games that we have in this area. And similarly with our grammar and verbs area, we've recently added more verbs to our French, Spanish, German, and also our Italian product. So all of these have minimum 60 verbs, which again sort of have been designed and picked to make sure that they are in keeping with the new GCSE. And we also have all of our different tense that students can practice across. Something that's coming soon that we're really excited about is we're currently in the process of rewriting our grammar section. At the moment, when you go into our secondary grammar, you have 20 activities or 20 sort of topics or grammar items, and then when you go into those you have a sort of 10 examples of that grammar point in context. What we're going to do is massively expand this section, so you have way more sort of chunked topics underneath sort of umbrellas such as sort of definite articles or indefinite articles. And so we'll be going from about 20 sets to about 60 sets per key stage, and we'll also, as we go on with this project, be looking to produce teaching PowerPoints for you, so that not only do you have the practice with these sentences in context showing you this grammar point, but you'll also have PowerPoint to help you teach it. And that basically concludes everything that we've added for our new GCSE. One thing that I am really excited to announce as well, so this is the first time we've sort of talked about this, so it's an exclusive today, is you've seen some of our speaking activities and the fact that obviously at the moment they are teacher marked in our exam skills section. Something that we're currently working on and hope to have released in the next couple of months is a brand new AI tutor and AI conversation tool. This will sit as a standalone section, and it will also sit within the exam skills. The standalone section will present students with a set of scenarios, real world scenarios, such as ordering food at a restaurant or ordering cinema tickets. It will present them with this scenario, and then students will have a spoken conversation with an AI tutor within the computer, and they will basically have a role play based on the scenario that they've gone into, and they'll receive feedback and sort of intuitive responses from the AI based on what they're saying. So we're really excited about bringing that, and think it's going to be something that really allows teachers to present students not just with sort of the exam skills and the vocabulary that they need for the GCSE, but also those kind of scenarios that they might expect to say in parts of the exam, such as the role play, but also scenarios that they'd expect to come across in real life if they were to travel to that country and use the language there. So really excited to sort of have that section on its way, and it will also sit in the speaking area of the exam skills, where it will act as an extension of our conversation question, where students are given a generic question about that topic, and they will then be prompted by the AI to sort of continue and expand on that topic, where it will be given follow-up questions like you would in the sort of general conversation. And finally, before I leave you to your evening, the last thing that I'd just quickly take this chance to announce that we're also currently working on is our scheme of work builder. Now, I know obviously with the new GCSE coming, we've had a lot of schools talking to us about the fact that they're going to need to potentially rearrange the way that they're teaching and rearrange their scheme of work. We know that lots of those schools will potentially be either following a textbook or following a scheme of work that's been set by their HOD or their trust. And what we want to provide schools with is a tool to either import your scheme of work into the Languagenut platform, so that you can map our activities against the topics and the themes that you are covering week on week. You'd also be able to import your own custom content and custom vocabulary, so that that is sort of nice and tiered, and it will help you simplify that planning. You'd be able to save those schemes of work to the classes in your school and assign homework from it as well. So it will allow you to navigate the platform and map the activities that we have in the platform across all of our different resource areas to your scheme of work and to your curriculum. So we're very excited. We're currently working on that very hard at the moment. Again, if you're really interested in hearing more information about this, you can go into the platform and click register your interest, or on our website as well, and we can make sure that we update you with information about that as we go along. Please do get in touch if you'd like to sort of set yourself up on a trial, and yeah, we hope to see you on the platform soon.